Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 11 of the Always Wolves Squadcast. And I'm again joined by Manny. Hey, Manny.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
And also Amy. How are you going on, Amy?
Oh, good, thank you. Hope everyone is okay.
Crikey, guys, we've got so much to get ourselves stuck into today, haven't we? There's so much happened. Before we get into the nuts and crannies of what's been happening over the last week and all the talking points that's been going, the Europa League came to an end. We got knocked out to Sevilla. They ended up going on again to win the tournament. How are you feeling about how we performed on the night and how we did on the Europa League as a whole?
I mean, obviously, it was a little bit gutting on the night, especially because you thought we had that penalty and you thought if they'd have scored that, I think they'd have gone on to win the tie. But I think towards the end, they just looked absolutely cream-crackered and half of them looked like they should have been stretched off the pitch, to be honest. But they gave them all, they didn't leave anything out. And I was so happy that Sevilla won because I just don't. If you say you lost to champions, no one can say anything, can they? So I was proper rooting for them in the final.
Down to the winners, yeah.
Same as Amy. Seville, our class side, we came up against someone who was just they'd been there a million times before, and we were like it was a new thing for us, and we ran out of steam. We didn't have the legs, we didn't have the ideas, didn't have anything really, and we sort of hung on but. We defended really well, and it'll be gutted that we conceded such a poor goal for us, to be honest. And the penalty was huge. And when you go on and see how Seville performed, and they won the final, and they performed in the semi-final, then you know we did really well getting to that point. So I think you got to look at it as an achievement, even though it was gutting and that penalty. Rewind that.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, I think, I'd like you say, if we'd have scored the penalty, we're quite good at defending the lead. But I think the season definitely caught up with us, and it was the one game, I think, that we could see where we need to go for the next level in terms of quality and clash, because we were outclassed.
Remember the first 15 minutes, Dave, we were...
fantastic.
We were fantastic until the penalty.
It was a bit like... And they were hanging on, sort of thing.
A bit like the Olympiacos game when we scored the penalty. We then sort of went back and it was the same against Sevilla, but they just had that little bit more quality.
Just the extra edge is what they have. So.
But when you take the whole competition as a whole and how far we've come and the experiences that we've had and what we've got, I mean, the players were obviously gutted, but really, for all the possession that Sevilla had, and you watched against United and then against Milan in the final, they created more chances against both of those sides than they did against us. Their only real chance, which they scored off, really, was that header where we just switched off. I think we were just hoping to get into extra time, maybe get it to penalties. But it was still a fantastic achievement. And I think it brings us on a seamless link, because at the end of that game, Nuno spoke, didn't he, about the need to evolve the squad, to bring in better quality, to move it up. And obviously that message there, do you think it was a general message, or do you think it was a message to Fosun and Jeff Shee to back him? How did that come across? Because obviously we're going to move on in a minute into the Doherty transfer and then the general transfer situation. What did you take out of that from what Nuno said, Manny?
Well, it's the word, the word evolve. That's the real word that we haven't heard since he's been there. And that doesn't actually mean just bringing players in. It also does mean seeing where we can improve and possibly letting players go as well. And we'll move on to what's happened this week, which a lot of fans are shocked by, but it's part of the sort of the process. And I think that's what he's thinking. I'm sure he's got targets and irons and players that he wants, and getting them is key to him staying and signing his contract. That's how it will work, I'm sure. If he doesn't get the players that he wants, if he doesn't get the support and the backing to try and improve the side, then that will rock the boat in his, obviously it will. So, it's crucial. It's only 2 weeks. It's a short pre-season, but it's crucial. And I think it was probably sending a bit of a message, not only to the owners, but to us as well, that this is where I am, this is me, I haven't signed a contract, and this is what I need to go
to the next level. What about yourself, Ames?
Yeah, and I think we all know Nuno. He's straight talking in a very good way, isn't he? He doesn't hold back with what he says, but he doesn't get, like some of the managers do, get a bit too into it. He's quite political in what he says and very like controlled and contained what he said, which you completely respect. But I think, they can only, don't want to jump the gun and talk about transfers, but with what they've got now, it's kind of, that's the kind of narrow path that they're going on. And everyone, 2 years in the Premier's been there 3 years now, probably does want to shape things up a bit, maybe try and play a little bit of a different system, because it hasn't really changed the system in like 3 years. So, and to do that, he obviously needs backing and needs the support. And you'd hope with the investment that Fosun have put in it, that if they really are committed to, taking Wolves as far as that they can go, that they do back him. Because to me, it seems a bit, why stop now if you're going to make that commitment and then you just get into kind of like this mandatory middle of the road club? It's not going to benefit them in the long run, and it's not going to benefit anyone to do with Wolves, fans included. So probably a little bit of a message. I think there's obviously conversations going behind the scenes, but I think, it is evolving now, isn't it? And it's taking it to, next chapter of Nuno almost, after the 3 that we've had already.
100%. And to be fair, up until this point, he has been backed by Fosun every season. We've seen the progress. Nuno, obviously, he does like this small squad. It's been something that he's wanted, but I think everyone's seen how that's affected us in the amount of games that we played last year, and we do need to strengthen the squad. And
the funny thing is, Dave, he will want to strengthen the squad, but it's in key areas and the right people, which is really, really important, because this season suddenly we haven't got European football. We haven't got all those extra games. We've actually got a normal season. So
we started in 2 weeks.
Well, it's still a normal in terms of number of games. We've got a week gap between games. We weren't used to that last year. So
and I think as well, like we're saying, all right, it's kind of gutting to have one season of European football, but I think for me, controversial opinion, devil's advocate, I'm actually quite glad, because the season is condensed anyway. So it starts 2 weeks and it finishes on the 23rd of May. Spurs have got like 8 games in a month or something, so Docker's going to be knackered anyway. So I'm quite, just enjoy being Prem, like concrete the squad, try and get a really good, strong Premier League season, maybe try and win a domestic cup.
That would be nice.
But so I think, it's just a kind of a learning experience again, and hopefully they can evolve, using that word, and really learn something together.
And it's been said, there is one season to miss European football, obviously with the pandemic and the travel restrictions. Maybe this season coming is probably the season to miss it, because we wouldn't probably be able to go and see the majority of the games away anyway. That does.
It's not the same, is it? It's not the same having to see your team achieve so much and you can't go to any of the matches. So we missed the quarter final. We missed, so. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. We want to be back there as soon as possible, obviously. And if we have to miss, it like you said, it's probably the ideal season.
Well, it was. Hopefully, if we can get back into Europe for the season after, things will be back to some sort of normality. So, obviously, brings us seamlessly on the breaking news, the shock news, really, because the speculation all around Jimenez and Traore, and then it breaks, doesn't it, a few days ago about Doherty going to Spurs. I've got to be honest with you, when I first saw it, I thought that's just paper talk. But it's got a lot more momentum, and then the deal's done. He's moved to Spurs they're saying, I thought it was initially 15 million. They're saying £13.4 million that he's gone to Spurs. Amy, give us your thoughts about that, and how you feel about it. And
like the initial reaction, I was the same as you. I thought no, because out of all the players in the team, apart from Coady, I thought he was the least person to go, and like no signs or anything. And I did feel like I was going through a divorce yesterday, to be honest. After like 10 years of Doherty just being in my life in a Wolves capacity, but that being said, you know, he's had 10 years at Wolves. He's 29, so it's probably for him personally his last opportunity to move. And I don't see how the way that he plays can fit in the way that Jose plays. But maybe he's trying to shape things up, or has got another idea for a role that Doherty can play into. But yeah, I thought he'd be like clinging to the rafters and like being kind of like forced to leave upon retirement. So I think from that perspective, that's really what shocked the fans. And there was a lot of media last week about 10 years of Doc, and then
exactly right,
he's just gone. So a bit shocked, but I think for him, I mean, he's going to be on a phenomenal wage, probably want to try something to do. It's a fantastic stadium. So fair play and good luck to him. And, you know, thanks for everything that you've done for Wolves, because you've been on the ride with us all, which is something that no one really else has. Yeah, so gutted, but, you know, it's transfers, it's football, it happens, doesn't it?
And you, Manny?
Well, you know what? This proves that you never really know anything with football, and all the speculation, anything you read about. You know, Doherty, I think he lived in Street League. He didn't live in Wolverhampton. He didn't live in the bubble of all the other players, and he's got London connections from his Arsenal fanship, you know, which is famously tweets. Yeah. So he's obviously got a connection there, and it's his enthusiasm in the videos afterwards that Spurs have released to go there. Just shows that, you know, if you get an offer for a player, you can't hide it from them. And if you put it to them and that player says, oh my God, I'd love to go there, because he actually said he wanted to come back from his holiday early so he could actually play for them in that friendly they had, and he was gutted that he missed it. And that's, for us, it's quite shocking. Oh, he's played for us 10 years. He's been, you know, and that's players aren't fans of the team. People get too attached to players. It's only fans who remain at the football club. Players move on, all of them, virtually all of them. They're not actually real fans of the club. They'll quickly take off their shirt and put another one on. He's like Amy says, he's coming into he's still got years in him, but he's just seen a massive opportunity with a traditional top 6 club where they've given him the number 2 shirt. Mourinho really believes in him, and he will start him and he will play him. And I even think Spurs might tinker with changing their system to actually accommodate him, like Arsenal have this.
Well, I was on the Last Word on Tottenham podcast yesterday, giving the Wolves view, and them guys were really, really positive about it. The one thing that they were really surprised with was the transfer fee of £13.4 billion. They were like, God, they feel like it's a bit of a steal, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we've been robbed, to be fair. I mean, hopefully there's something kind of underneath, but yeah, it just...
There's got to be this Mendes connection. There's just got to be something that he does between his clients and his agents and the teams he works for. Because remember, we got Matinha for 5 million, and then suddenly we got players for 10 and 12, and really good players for really small fees because Mendes had these connections. So it's almost like Mendes says he wants to go. We don't want to hold it against him. They're only going to offer 15 or 13. So just take that and I'll look after you because I've got A and B lined up. I just think there's something more than just why is it so low? I think there's something, you know, in the whole thing. They look at it and think, because they don't want to deny him 10 years of service. He wants to go. He wants to go down there. They're not going to offer any more. There's no other offers on the table for him. Do we keep him and then he plays in a way like a Christian Eriksen last year for Spurs, where he didn't want to be at the club and he wanted to move and they denied him his move, and then it affects his performance. So it is a big catch-22 situation. It is a very, very low fee. Everyone knows that.
What I was talking about last night with my dad is, like, now he's gone and like Otto's out for 6 months with his ACL, and that's what concerns me, is that they're so reliant on that position within our squad and our team, and both first choices with the experience to hold that position in the Premier League are now not available for 2 weeks' time. And that's what, you know, you think, oh yeah, it's sad, he's gone, okay, fine. But you think, right, okay, what's the picture now? What are we going to do within that 2 weeks? Because you can't, I mean, we bought players in the last year at the start of the season, Jesus and Catrone, and then they didn't play. Neto didn't really start till later in the year. and Jordal's kind of is still around, but he hasn't been playing because Nuno likes to train them up within the squad. So you just think, what's going to happen in 2 weeks?
Well, I think that's the big thing. I think Doherty going, okay, the price is probably lower than what we think. With Doherty going, I don't think anyone would begrudge it. He's given 10 years service, and he's probably at a time when he thinks, I've been at Wolves for 10 years. I want a new challenge, a new experience. Fair play to the guy, and we do thank you for his service. I know he gets some criticism from some quarters, but the fact that he survives, multiple managers, double-dip relegations and change of ownerships, and he was still there, shows his attitude's really, really good. So you can't knock him for going. But I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that we've only us and Leicester are the only teams that's not brought anyone in, and Johnny's out, and you start the season starts in 2 weeks, you start to be a bit concerned, don't you, Manny?
I think, what it is, people have mentioned that, but I look at it differently because Neto, Podence, Dendoncker, all of those were brought in when their positions were already filled. So Nuno did have time to leave them on the sidelines and bring him in gradually because we already had players. This time, it's a different transfer. It's just a different thing. We have to buy people who are ready to come in, who are experienced enough, who know the game. Neto wasn't really experienced. Dendoncker and Podence could probably have come into the side straight away, but we already have players there. So I think, I don't think players can actually sign for a club and play the first game and start on the front foot, and we've had it before, and it can work. So I'm expecting 2 players because I do believe they were already looking to replace Johnny anyway for the injury, and this Doherty's come on the scene. So there's 2 players there straight away they have to look for in those positions. Otherwise, we're going light in those positions next year.
Looking at the wing-back positions, what we've got within the club at the moment, we've got Ruben Vinagre, we've got Oscar Burr, I think Luke Matheson, who we've bought in, the young lad, big prospect.
We've still got Dion Sanderson at the club as well.
Dion Sanderson,
brilliant 6 months at Cardiff. Yeah.
But they were very strongly linked, weren't we, with Maitland-Niles from Arsenal. He looked like the ideal age. They seem to have put a low offer in, and then he's played for Arsenal in the charity or the Community Shield as it is now, got man of the match, and it now looks as if Arsenal have decided they don't want to sell him. So I think that was one they were looking at really getting that's gone away. I don't know what you feel about that, whether or not we've gone in too low or we've dragged our feet a little bit and we could be missing out. Any others that you can think of that would?
I think, he was actually man of the match in the FA Cup final as well for them. And he played brilliantly against us at Molineux when he marked Traore at the game. He brought him on second half and sealed the game when we played them at home. I couldn't, when he became available, I was like, wow, we're going to sign him. How are Arsenal ever letting one of their best young talents go? He is a really, really good player, proven that he's just made the England squad as well. So I was quite shocked by it that we were bidding for him and that we might have been close. I just think sometimes agents and clubs, and they do things and they make players available just to alert their own clubs to try and drive the wages up and get a better deal and there's a lot involved that we don't know about, and if we did go in with a low offer, then we'll regret it, won't we? Because it looks like he won't come. But I just think sometimes not all players are really available. If you listen to Maitland-Niles, he was totally different to someone like a Doherty. You could see he was like, he loved that. He liked playing there. He liked being around those players. It was just.
He's only 22 as well, isn't he? He's young as well.
Yeah. So we've got to move on quickly. And however disappointing it is, got to move on quickly. They must have other targets. If they haven't, we're going to suffer. We know that. So they must have other targets, and we've got to wait for the whole window to complete. And it isn't till September the 14th, even though that's the start of the season. Every manager's talked about October the 5th, getting in players for October, because actually some managers actually like the fact that they're going to see their team play and see how they've played for a couple of matches, and then they can make a decision because they've never had that before. Remember, we start a season, you think, wish we'd have another striker, but we've got to wait till January now. And we don't have to now, in a way. We can sort of...
We were linked with Polina as well, very strongly, wasn't we? And that seems to have gone cold as well. So the one thing that I'm hoping, and I think that most Wolves fans hoping, is like, yeah, we've let Doherty go, but we've got these deals very, 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 very close to competing. I think the next 2 weeks, probably the next 7 days, could be really pivotal for Wolves in who we bring in. Because don't forget, as you've mentioned, we've got a game in 2 weeks. We've got the preparation for the start of the season, and we'll come obviously onto the internationals. With the international break, Nuno hasn't got a lot of time with the players, has he? Before the
They're
first
not even
game.
back, are they? When are they back? Tomorrow?
They start training tomorrow, I think. But obviously,
a lot of teams are already training and playing friendlies, you know. And,
exactly right.
Well, yeah, because obviously we finished so much later than the rest, didn't we?
And so we're going to be disadvantaged. That's just part and parcel, isn't it? I think it's just part and parcel.
It's what it is.
It is what it is.
No, it's a strange start of the season anyway, isn't it, to be honest? I think.
Yeah, we're in a position where we've got a game in 2 weeks. We're finished late the season. Half the squad are going to be away on international duties. And we haven't made any signings yet. So Nuno's going to literally have a few days, and then we've got a tough away match against Sheffield United.
You know what? I was astounded. I was astounded with the international matches. Knowing that your players, we're not the only team that's going to suffer. United, City, they're all going to have a huge whole load of their first team squads not available for pre-season training, and they couldn't, rearrange, change, because it's just so critical that we had all our players together for the start of pre-season. So,
yeah, the likes of United and City, though, they've got massive squads, whereas...
Yeah, but they're not their first 11, are they? They're not the first 11. If you have your first 11 players go out on international, you're affected. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got another 20 other players. They're not going to do anything in pre-season training.
Don't forget the likes of Man City. They've got an extra week off than us because they ain't got a game on that first.
Yeah. Well, at least half of them play for the same international team, so
well,
they'll all be together.
There is that. So, in terms of like transfers, we've had a few questions about this. Amy, we'll go with you first on this. Where do we need to bring players in, do you think? How many and what positions?
Every area, to be honest, because I think obviously the wing-back position, which we just discussed. I think midfield is quite solid, to be fair, but, strikers and defence, we're so thin on the ground with that position anyway. And I think it creates that competition, doesn't it? Having more players fighting for the position. So, strengthening in all areas is never a bad thing, because hopefully makes them play better and train better, because everyone wants that shirt, everyone wants that position. So I think defence, after what we saw last season when Bolly got injured, and then it was like having a new signing when he came back anyway, the defence, I always think, has been a bit thin on the ground, even though it's fantastic when it works. And then just up front as well, I think having that kind of attacking, having a real sub in for Raul, to be fair, because he's so integral. And I read somewhere when it was like the Jimenez rumours really strong, and then the Traoré rumours, and then apparently Nuno prioritised to keep Raul over anyone else. It just shows that he's so integral to that team that if he went, and even though you probably have expected it more than Doherty going, but you would have that fear of, oh my God, where are the goals going to come from? So probably for me, defence in the number 9 position, it just needs that extra fight for it.
And yourself, Manny?
I watched a goal on the Wolves Twitter today, like one of those classic old goals, and it was Fernando Gomez in 1999 lashing one in. And in that team was playing Robbie Keane up front and Dean Richards at the back. And I thought those two players straight away improve our side, straight away. And those two positions, were key for me. Another player with commanding, authoritative centre half, and then somebody to back up Raul, and then a more attack-minded midfielder to play in a different way. The full-back thing with Johnny getting injured and now Doherty leaving has now thrown... because now we're looking at 5 players to improve us, to go on. We're looking at 5 players. Will we get 5 players in 2 weeks? Possibly not. Might be 3, might be 2. So it's now change the ball game, and maybe they will, maybe they won't surprise us, and they've got targets lined up. So for me, that's the spine of the team, right through the middle, centre half, midfield, and attack, because they've prioritised the way they've been talking about looking at replacing Moutinho now, because he is old, and they've got to start looking at that now. They can't wait till he just leaves, So they've got to bring somebody else in the middle of the park as well. So
I think pretty much. I think back up to Raul, and let's hope he doesn't leave, because then we're just going to need to. The wing backs, obviously, as we've pulled, we have got the youngsters that we can use, as we've touched on, and Traore can also play that wing back position, saying that he's still here at the end of the transfer window. But that does obviously curtail his attacking powers. Left-sided defence in that Saiz position, I think that would free Saiz up then to be back up on defence, and also at that sweeper position in midfield, and an attacking midfielder like that. I think we touched on it before, didn't we? Like that Dave Edwards box-to-box type player, but with obviously a little bit more quality.
Sorry, Dave Edwards, because you just said a bit more quality than Dave Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Edwards. I love Dave Edwards, but
I love Dave Edwards.
But you know what I mean.
He was great at the time. He was great at what they did at the time.
That top sort of 6 quality box-to-box midfielder. But Dave Edwards, when he's classic, coming up with the near post crossfield headers, but he did have an engine on him, didn't he? He did do that job box to box, and we don't really have someone in that mould. So guys, that pretty much obviously covers the transfers. Obviously, the main concerns is that Jimenez and Traore going out. A few people asked on the Instagram, do you think we'll lose one of those?
I think, one thing fans have to get straight with our club is we're not a Chelsea or a Man City. We're not there straight away after 2 years of being here where we can just splash hundreds of millions and the best players in the world are going to walk over to us. We, I think, will always sell to reinvest. Oh, hello. We will always sell to reinvest, I think, in the immediate future, when Jeff Shee talks about step by step. So we didn't expect the Doherty one, and I got my fingers crossed that I think 2 weeks is just too short time to negotiate a big signing like that. So
unless it's already in the pipeline, and
we don't know that.
Tuesday and Wednesday we're all yes, everything's good in the garden again. It brings us quite nicely onto the Nuno contract situation. Jamie Hayden on Instagram said, do you think there is money to spend, and do you think Nuno will sign this new contract, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we said at the start. I think he's obviously making, not difficult, but kind of like putting his cards on the table of what he wants. And, we all like to think that Nuno is the god of Wolverhampton and etc., which, he kind of is. But he's a person at the end of the day. And if he's not happy and he doesn't, like in anyone's job, it's his job at the end of the day. And if he doesn't feel like he's getting the support from his management team, which is essentially what they are, then, he's going to think elsewhere, and there'd be a lot of clubs that were interested in him as well. So I think if he gets what he wants and he gets the spending, it's like in any workplace. When I'm at work, I just want backing from my manager and the people that you report into at the end of the day, and you want to do a good job for them. But if they're not providing you with the tools that you need to do that, then you are going to start to think about going elsewhere, or start to maybe be a little bit unhappy. So just him laying down on the table, and like we said before, he says a few things, but he's quite a private person, and the way that he manages, and I think that's the way. So it's media speculation as well, isn't it, that we do have to take into consideration. So I mean, we all want him to sign, and we all hope that the club will do whatever they can possibly do to make sure that he does sign.
His contract expires, is it in 2021, Manny?
2020, end of this season, I would say.
I think this is his last year on it. The talk
was
not in it's 2023. So
ideally, like any player, you don't want it to run past January the 1st for players when they're open to
the contracts down.
And they run it down. So we don't want that. Is there money to spend? If there isn't, we're in massive problem. We're in the Premier League here. There must be money to spend.
Do you think they're pulling the purse strings in a bit, though, Manny? And the reason I asked that, I don't think it's necessary, because some people said, Fosun owned Thomas Cook and all this and that collapsed. But Fosun are a multi-billion-pound conglomerate with so many businesses. They own like billion-pound pharmaceutical companies. Wolves, in the scheme of things, is the smallest, maybe the most prestigious.
It's a drop, and we also then, on the other side, just because they're worth 120 billion, that 120 billion isn't sitting there just to buy players, you know.
No.
So we have to be realistic in that respect. Like I've said before, we're not a Man City or a Chelsea yet. One day we may be, but gone are the days where you can just willy-nilly splash cash. You have to show that you're balancing, and it has to go against your turnover. Our wage bill still one of the smallest in the whole Premier League, you know, in the bottom 4, which is amazing that we achieve so much with it. And that has to increase, but it has to increase gradually and slowly. And to be honest, we've increased it very quickly. In 2 years, we've gone to a European quarter-final. So it's like, oh God, what do we do now? And now we want that next step, and that next step is a huge step to take. And it's almost like, is it a step back? Is it just a deep breath? Is it like, where are we? Or is it, you know, we don't know the reality. Our communication with the club used to be a bit more transparent with Dalrymple and, you know, likes of Kevin Thelwell. We saw a clear strategy. I spoke to Tim Nash in a Zoomcast last week and asked him where he was getting his sources from for the transfers, and he said it is much harder because basically Jeff Shee has took control and they're using a committee, and they've got people like Russell Jones now stepped him up, and he's doing a lot of the duties that Kevin Thelwell used to do and Laurie Dalrymple used to do.
Russell Jones is marketing, isn't he? So
he used to be marketing manager. Now he's the general manager for marketing and XXX. So he's took on some of the duties of Kevin and Laurie.
I think we're missing Kevin Thelwell. I mean, I know he got a lot of criticism, but you know, he
was a good man. Kevin was, I think, you know, behind the scenes, very quiet, did what he had to do, and he's gone on to a great opportunity in America.
He hasn't gone though, has he? Because obviously with the coronavirus,
he's there now.
He's gone over there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's there now. He's the fans are having a go at him now, apparently.
There might be a political thing in regards to this from China. In regards to obviously the pandemic originating from China, all the sort of like stuff that's surrounding that, and obviously a lot of businesses over there, if the state tell them to stop investing somewhere, because obviously China was very, very pro investing in sports and stuff because they wanted to grow their own sporting and football and stuff like that, which is why a lot of the Chinese, there was a spate of Chinese takeovers of football clubs because that was encouraged. If they basically said, because of the situation, we don't want you spending as much money outside of the country, that could affect Fosun more so than that they haven't got the money, more so that they're having to sort of like tag the little party line. We don't know, but that might have a little bit of play in where they are. They're definitely looking to balance the book. But when you look at Costa and Cavallero and now Matt Doherty, that's nearly £55 million in terms of transfers that have been bought in. I would imagine Swansea are picking up a fair whack of Morgan's wages as well. Obviously, they're looking to offset. I think Bennett could potentially go for 2 or 3 million. There is money coming in. We've just got to wait to see what's spent on the outside. I think what you're saying, Manny, they're looking at probably balancing the book. They had that little ticking off, didn't they, from, was it UEFA? Was it about like the FFP? It was just a little tiny slap on the wrist with nothing major. So
I think because they moved so fast from the Championship into the Premier League, and they did well into Europe, so they had to sort of invest by players. I think they expected that fine, and they were probably happy to pay it.
I expect Nuno will sign his contract. However, if he doesn't get the support and the players we want, which puts him in a position, whereas we've got a weakened team going into the Premier League, and you know, if you don't continue to improve in this division, you stand still anyway. So not doing anything, you go backwards. If he can't continue to take the team forward as he wants, and he doesn't feel he's getting the support, then that might be the position where he goes, you've tied one of my hands behind the back. I don't think
people said our last 2 transfer windows weren't very successful. I see it was when we got into the Premier League, that was a big one. We had to get in Rui and Zhao, and you know, we had to get these players in to make us better. And then we sort of stabilised in this Premier League because we knew we had this good team and we've achieved. Now those 2 transfer windows for me weren't as critical as this one. This one is the one where do we go now? What is our vision? Because we've achieved this level now. Where do we go? Do we just try and... Because I don't think no one's going to accept us just existing and trying to survive. We don't want to do that. Surely that's not the vision of Fosun either, even though, we've moved ahead of our times. It doesn't mean, just because we've had a head start, we go back to the start line. We have to, it's critical, isn't it?
I think that this transfer window and what we bring in, and you've got to keep the faith, as you say, that they will get it right, but it will define the season because, fans can be fickle, can't they? You've already seen on social some crazy comments about comparing Fosun to the Glaziers and stuff like that. It's like what they've done in 4 years, they've done everything they said they're going to do. Until that stops happening, you've got to believe that. So let's, like you're saying, hope that there is some news this week. I think there needs to be a transfer, a couple of people coming in this week, because the longer it goes on, the more fans are going to get stressed about. You don't want to be dragged into a bad start, not having...
I think Nuno, you said training tomorrow, Nuno comes back, the team comes back. Undoubtedly, the press will be on his back just to get a few words with him. And, those first few words are really important because he said his last words were, I need strengthening. And then his first interview, we haven't been strengthened, we've been weakened.
Wasn't Leicester only team not to have brought any players in as we record this podcast. Let's move on from that. Let's go look at some happy, positive news as Wolves fans. Conor Coady, Captain Fantastic, finally has his full England call. There he is, yeah. He has his full England call up. And as Wolves fans, we've been scratching our heads for ages. How is Gareth Southgate not picking Conor Coady, or at least having him in the squad? He's in the squad. I think we're playing Iceland and then Denmark in the Nations League. If he gets on, he'll be the first Wolves player to receive a full England cap. I think, is it Matt Jarvis in 2000?
Matt Jarvis was the last one.
How are we feeling about Coady then for England?
Go on, Amy.
Oh, so proud. So proud, aren't we?
Oh, there she is. For everyone that's watching and listening, on the screen right now, what's your cat's name?
Blossom.
Blossom. She's absolutely, if you're listening on the podcast, describe her, Amy.
Well, she's got wolves coloured eyes, so she's a British blue, so she has orange and black eyes. Look in the camera.
She is beautiful, isn't she?
But she looks quite moody today, so. Anyway.
Oh, cool. So overjoyed with Coady then.
Well. But yeah, Coady, I just think it's a long time coming, and don't want to touch on Harry Maguire too much, but he obviously got called up to the squad and then got arrested charged a few hours later. And the first thing I said was like, oh, well, at least Coady can get a call up to England now. And I think it just shows, he's so, in terms of player and the way that he portrays himself, and he just deserves it so much. And I'm just so happy for him and happy for the club as well, because it's been a long time coming. So,
and you, Manny?
Yeah, it takes me back to the day Steve Bull was less so Matt Jarvis, when Steve Bull got the call up, because we were still in the third division and he got called up. That was immense. It was one of the proudest moments as a Wolves fan, and this felt the same way. To have a Wolves captain, be chosen to play for his country, and then Gareth Southgate in the next few days coming out saying that they're thinking of maybe toying with experimenting with 3 at the back, which will give him more chance of playing, because he'll be surely be considered for that in one of the matches. So to have him get on, you see the way he talks and the way he reacts and the way he celebrates. When he heard that news, I would have loved to have had a webcam in his house, because he must have jumped on someone's back.
Overjoyed.
He just loves the game, though. He just loves everything about the game, doesn't he?
I think representing your country, it's like the pinnacle, isn't it? It's for players, it's like playing for my country, wearing the 3 lions, and what a moment for him. I just hope he gets on. Really proud moment for his family, and the player. Remember that all of us had written off before Nuno came in. All of us didn't really expect him to have a future, and he's like the first name on the team sheet.
Mate, it is amazing. And we should also recognise that our Portuguese, in both the under-21s and also in the main team, and also Adama Traore called up for the Spanish squad as well.
Yeah.
All puts their value up a little bit more. Traore is valuable. So, yeah, it's fantastic. I hope he gets on and plays. Gareth Southgate will get a good look at him, and hopefully he'll take a real good shine to him and impress, and hopefully he'll get included in future.
And we can all buy the England shirt as our away shirt for the season.
We get Coady on the back, absolutely. And that, Manny, you are a goddamn seamless. That is a seamless link. An absolute seamless link into the home shirt and the controversial away shirts. Let's start with the home shirt. Manny, you've got it on there. Your webcam.
I've got it on, yeah, I've got it on. To be honest, when it came out, everyone talked about the blacks. Oh, they didn't, and this band is so big, and it did. And when we've received it, it's the best shirt, I think, out of the three that we've had from Adidas. It's the best home shirt. The material, honestly, you have to feel it. It's like, it's proper. It's like silk. It's like wearing a robe. I feel like grand, like I must be sitting on a throne or something. But it's really comfortable. The fit's good. So, and it is a classic 3 stripes. There's no, it's a good shirt, I think. And so
if you're watching it on the YouTube channel, it is not as pale as it looks, is it? Because it's your.
Oh, this is bright. Believe it or not, this is my camera. That is. This is quite orangey.
Manny always has fake shirts for anyone.
I have fake shirts. That's why I've got. I've got the tag. I've got the tag to prove it. I might return it because But yeah, I think it is slightly different. I think we've said we can keep the same turbans though. I think they do sort of match this one, even though it's
That's good. I'll save you a few quid then. And
save us a few quid. So we're happy with that.
You go and get your...
Yeah, the home shirts, it's a good shirt. I do like it, to be honest. And it looks good on our players. All the players are modelled. It does look good on them. So, and again, it's all about the badge and the players inside.
I like the home shirt, to be honest. I think that the main criticism of the home shirt was the thick orange band.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little bit on the thick side, a bit thinner. But yeah, I'll be getting the home shirt. Amy, you're not such a fan of the home shirt, although you are the queen of Wolves retro shirts, and you've got the old Doritos classic on today.
Got the classic.
Yeah.
One of the favourites, the Doritos on today. So, I've got my box of retro shirts, which I seem to be wearing for all of these podcasts. The home shirt, it is growing on me a little bit. I've not seen it properly in the flesh yet. So they're always a bit different when you actually see them in reality.
That's where I'm going to go down to the shop and see it.
So I'll probably go to the shop and maybe have a look. But I am a fan of the away shirt. Controversial opinion, so yeah. I will probably be getting the away shirt.
You really love, don't you? Because obviously I did my video, and obviously it's split. It's divided. It's literally a Marmite shirt. It's very sort of like left field type of shirt, but you absolutely love it, don't you?
Yeah, for me, it just feels quite different, and I think I can see completely who it's been aimed at. I think it's more aimed towards female fans. My sister is also a big fan of it. We both said straight away that we really, really liked it. Definitely towards like younger fans and stuff as well, and I think they've really tried to show that in the demo, the video that they did for it, with
culture type thing,
street culture, which you can kind of see, and it's got that quite like retro look about it already, even though it's not been worn yet. So I think it's probably more the fashion than the football is what they've gone for, but I think it's something a bit different. And it is like Marmite. You either live it. I showed my dad yesterday because he's not seen it. I don't know what he's been doing all weekend. But he's 60, in his 60s, so I wouldn't expect people of that age, no offence to anyone, to probably wear it. But something a bit different. It's a talking point.
You're getting it.
I'm going to get it, yeah. I'm actually going to get it at full price, which I don't usually do. I'm usually get them halfway through the season, which is bad. But anyway.
About you, Manny?
Oh, I tell you what, I like it up to about there.
I saw your tweet. Classic, that one.
Up to about there, I really love it. I thought, oh, wow, classic white Adidas, the stripes. And then obviously they've got quite a it is a season for patterns. If you look at a lot of away shirts and home shirts all around the country, it seemed a season for patterns. I'd have liked it. I probably would have gone for it if they had gone all the way with the
it's
design.
It's back, isn't it? It's full back.
But if you look at
it's full back.
If you look at the Mondivo, the template, Ipswich have got it, and loads of foreign teams in South America have got. They've got this. Everyone's got this shirt. Don't worry about it. It's not only us, but it's only us that have gone with this one colour and then another colour. They've got the same colour. So if they've got an orange or white, and
which
then
I think would have worked,
and then that sort of blends in. We're our aged, wiser eyes, Amy. We need a little bit more blend. So that's just the way we are, I'm afraid. But no, I'm sure there's kids, and like I said, like appeal to the female fans, and I think there's be a section of fans that will still buy it. I still think people will still buy it.
I think there's fans that will buy it, and maybe it'll become one of them iconic strips, a bit like the Goodyear tyre mark.
You imagine we're playing.
You've probably got
somebody,
one of them at that game, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine you're playing it in the FA Cup final. And we've had to play in that kit because it's the other team.
And we wanted it.
Conor Coady goes and lifts the FA Cup. And we'll all buy it then, won't we? It'll be the biggest selling shirt of all
you
time.
What, though, guys? As just a general top, maybe it'll grow. Not for me, but, But I think when because the shorts are white and the socks are white, I think when they wear it as a full strip, it won't look as bad actually on the players because they'll have the white top, the white shorts, and I think that'll look better, but just as a one-off top. Not certain as a wearing it. I think probably...
Dave, whatever you do, don't buy the full kit, please.
No, I don't. I
won't. The next podcast with his socks and his...
We'll have to leave this... If you buy the full kit, me and Amy are leaving the podcast. We're starting our
she has been on the phone because there's apparently a position at wing-back. And he's been in touch. That's how bad things are. The third kit, I hope there will be a third kit. I really hope because they did that green one. I hope there's a third kit to save it, and it's a Portugal coloured third kit. That would be.
Is there going to be one? I've heard that.
Because usually it's like for when you're in European games, isn't it?
No, I think they have to have 3 different kits. And Wolves have done that by having the navy shorts and the navy socks, which is their third change, which they'll wear with that white top to match the navy on the top. So that,
I'm not sure if there's a third kit coming or not, but if there is one, and I hope there is, I hope it's a Portugal coloured top. That would be kind of cool, I think, with our Portuguese connections. So yeah, if you're watching this on the podcast, please make sure you on iTunes, give us a rating, a 5-star rating. If you're watching on the YouTube, don't forget to make sure you leave your thoughts on all the subjects that we're covering, and we will get back to you. And hopefully this will go out as a premiere as well, so you'll be able to chat with us. So the shirts, there's one other little thing I think we should touch on, and that's the television. Obviously, fans are not going to be back in the stadium for the start. We saw the Brighton did a trial where they were dotted about. I mean, we've all given our opinions on how we think we should go back. Wolves will make their own decisions. Obviously, you can go as groups, and we'll wait to see what happens. It looks like it's going to be a phased return. Although I did a poll, and it was 70-30 in favour of coming back as one pack, but it's unlikely that'll happen. But TV, if we're not going to the games, last year, obviously the broadcasters have streamed every single game. And in the EFL, it looks like that they're doing that. But in the Premier League, at the moment, there's only Wolves versus Manchester City, I think, that's due to be televised. And I'm a little bit, don't know about you, a little bit disappointed. There's, fans, they're not doing the same for the start of the season did last year. I mean, how are you feeling about that?
It just makes it quite difficult, isn't it? Because you feel like you've had going, we all know the circumstances. So taken away from us being able to go, it was good to be able to watch all the games, wasn't it? When the season restarted. So you kind of feel like they're going to be playing these games, but there's not really going to be much involvement from the fans because obviously you can listen to it on the radio, but then they're probably not all going to be, for us it'd be WM. Not every Wolves game will be on WM. So you've got these games playing that are really, really behind closed doors, like almost a secret, because you just get the notifications on your phone. So I don't know the reason. There must be some kind of legal reasons with the Premier League. I don't really know the reasons for it, but it as a fan, it's really disappointing, isn't it? It's really quite, not heartbreaking, but you just feel like really removed from it now.
I know. What about you, Manny?
It's to be honest, it's horrific. It's because Sky know they're going to get an automatic increase in the number of viewers because we've got no other option but to watch TV. So their viewing figures must have gone up during the lockdown period because just naturally, and it just honestly, it must be contractual. It must be some sort of money thing, but it's within a different ballpark that nobody expected us to be in, and companies and clubs and everybody's got a duty to get together and discuss and put those things to one side and think about the bigger thing. It's the fans who make the game. It's they say all the presenters, all the pundits all keep harping on about it's not the same without the fans, and they can't wait till the fans get back. But when you have a decision like this where the biggest league in the world, the richest league in the world, will not have their matches televised in the 60 million channels all around the world. There's other countries that will be able to watch certain games, and we here won't. It's ridiculous. It's just start of the season, you're looking forward to it, and none of us will be able to watch the match. That's unless we do things that we're not supposed to do. It is stupid. It really is, and I don't know if they can reverse the decision or do something, but I hope their clubs put pressure and supporters groups and everybody gets together and puts pressure on them, because
the thing that I don't understand is that I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but as far as I understand, the EFL, all their matches are being played are on.
But they had a contract mostly anyway, Dave, this season just gone, where the EFL started showing all of their matches on the red button. Anyway.
Yeah, it was the weeknight matches, wasn't it?
Yeah, they started doing that anyway, where they were doing it regularly, where you could watch every match, and they've just continued that on. They've got this service that they built in, but it's the same company, Sky. So what if they can do that? They can do that for the Premier League. It means they have to employ more people, send them to. Their viewing figures are going to go up. More people
and
are going to.
And their subscriptions would go up, because if you think you're not paying for your season ticket,
you'll
pay like however much it is for Sky a month, 50 quid a month for Sky, because you've got all the games.
BT Sport got a big increase because we were in Europe. As soon as we were out of Europe, we all cancelled it. If BT Sport guaranteed to show us all our matches, we'll all subscribe again. So
the thing is as well, it's they've got the regular games. These are the games that they wouldn't be showing anyway. So I don't see why. I must admit, I'm a bit annoyed the fact that we've had all that last season, obviously in the situation, but we have been able to watch every game. And now coming into the start of the new season, we're going to, I think in the first month, we can only really watch one Wolves game. And we'd either travel away to see it or we'd be at home.
We keep saying it's a new normal, it's lockdown, we can't go, social distancing. So they should have, they've got a duty to cater for that, to cater for the fans, the people that pay a lot of money. Wolves fans paid thousands last season, thousands travelling all over the Europe and away, and now we sit at home and we can't watch. It's a ridiculous decision, and like I said, the clubs really need to get their heads together and force Sky and the broadcasters to do more, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing, isn't it? So, well, obviously, hopefully that can change. We're on to questions now. We've covered quite a lot because a lot of the questions were about Doherty, Nuno's contract, obviously players coming in. I've got a couple that we haven't covered. This is from Maori. Is Raul Jimenez considered a legend in the club already?
I wouldn't say yet.
No, I wouldn't say yet. Not yet.
I'd say maybe in a few years if, becomes defining in a successful Wolves team, but as much as I want him to stay, I think if he went and they got a replacement, you'd have fond memories of him, but he wouldn't be legend status.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, legends are Billy Wright, Steve Ball, Stan Cullis. You become legendary when you start. We have silverware on the mantelpiece for me. And we've got a lot of great players, and he's another one. Highest number of goals in their Premier League season, highest number of top flight goals for decades. So he is a great player for us and really crucial. But to achieve legendary status, it's a word that's banned around and given out.
I think it's way too soon, like you say. I think if he scores a winning goal in an FA Cup final and stuff like that, then that's that moment. Drowned God, how do you feel about Jesus Corona or Tecatito joining Wolves into Mexico would go wild?
I can't say I have.
The first player, he plays for Porto. He's 27, a very, very good player. In the Mendes camp sort of thing. So I'm sure, I know Wolves, they supposedly watch 80 matches a week, and they sometimes scout up to 2,000 players at any one time with a team of I think they've got 10 scouts plus the guy who runs them, and they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to identify players. So if we're talking about them, the chances are so are the club. It's just whether Nuno fancies that player. They'll be put to Nuno if Nuno's got control, which he should have. They'll put, these are the 3 players we've identified who've got the right temperament, the right skills that you're looking for, and then it's out to get them. So it's I'm sure, I don't know. A lot of our younger fans seem to know a lot more about European players, maybe because they're on the old FIFA and the Football Manager. And my sons are the same. They'll say, oh, he's got an 86. What are you on about, an 86? His rating on FIFA. I say, well, that's not, what does that mean? I think that's a way. So a lot of names do come out now, which I personally don't recognise. I just have to put my faith in the people who are paid to do that job, and hopefully they bring the right players in.
Well, hopefully by the time we do the next episode 12, we will have signings to talk about, and things will look a little bit more positive. At the moment, obviously, we're recording this.
Anything could happen, Dave. We could see Amy holding up a Spurs shirt.
No!
No, you want me to stay on this podcast, Manny, with abuse like that?
I can not see that.
Shock horror. So it was an opportunity she couldn't.
I didn't like Doherty that much.
It was an opportunity she couldn't turn down. She couldn't.
Before we finish off and sign off, we do need to mention that Samosa Saturday 7. It's happening, isn't it, on September the 12th? I'm going to be a delivery driver as well on this one.
Yeah. We've had. Unfortunately, we've had 1 or 2 of our regulars who help us out who've got other commitments. So we've had to make a couple of new signings. Dave was in my thoughts, so I've took him on.
Me, haven't you?
Fairly a straightforward contract, to be fair. So September the 12th, start of the new season. We play on the 14th on Saturday. We've got about 50 orders in. I'm going from Stafford, Cannock, the Wolverhampton area, Dudley Stourbridge, all the way down to Worcester this time. So get me on my socials and drop me a message if you're interested. Yeah, or every penny to Dementia UK, every single penny, no profits, no costs, no nothing. It's all every penny.
So look out on the socials for more details on that. And there's still, as I say, 20 options to get the samosas.
Yeah, I think we never say no. So we'll get them. If you want some, you'll get some.
And in addition, me and Manny have been doing our keep fit. We've been playing a bit of tennis. Played some charity doubles games, raising money for Dementia UK and the foundation. So if you do fancy challenging us and giving us a game of tennis, again, get in touch either on socials or just leave it in the comments below on the YouTube video. Again, thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Amy, how can people find you on socials?
I'm on Instagram mainly, so it's at Amy Hadd, AMYHADZ.
And thanks again for joining us today.
Manny?
At Pedal Sing on Twitter, mainly that's where I'm on, and Facebook, Manny Sing Kang. So click on and send me your DM, and hopefully we'll get some samosas out to you as well.
Fantastic. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as Dazzling Dave, and Always Wolves also has a Facebook page, or strangely enough, Always Wolves. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Thanks for listening, and from all of us, until the next one, Always Wolves.
New signings.
We hope. No one leave.